Hey, welcome to Viking Preparedness. I am Pastor Joe Fox. It's 85 degrees and I've been splitting and hauling wood, and now I'm about to stack wood. I've been splitting it with a hydraulic splitter, but I still have to pick it off my pile, put it on there, manipulate it around and such. And I'm squinting because, eyes. And so I'm hot. And you may ask yourself, why is he splitting wood when it's 85 degrees? Because winter is coming. And that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. I want to talk about how you can stay warm in winter. But first, let's change the scenery. I know, so sophisticated. One of the reasons we chose the Ozarks is because it is very mild here. The winters are mild. And I didn't want to get old in a place where it snowed 6 feet, and where it got to be a bazillion degrees below zero, 30 below zero. That's kill you cold, right? It's a smaller margin for error in temperatures that get that low. And so we live here, and honestly, I think most winter days it gets above freezing. It'll peak right around 34, 35, 37 degrees, and then it goes below freezing. Some nights it goes down into the single digits, and rarely it'll go below zero. And my wife and I lived in a trailer for 2.5 years in those conditions where, our toothbrush water would be frozen solid in the morning when we got up. So I think I know something about living in cold temperatures. And we can read whenever there's a heating oil shortage or the power goes out in some big city in the wintertime. People are like, oh, we're worried about the old people or the poor. They're going to die. They're going to freeze to death. And that's balderdash. How's that for an old word? That's just silly. And so when the stuff hits the fan, if that happens in wintertime and your normal sources of heat no longer available, whether that's electric furnace or heating oil or propane for your propane tank, that kind of thing, what are you gonna do? Well, Pastor Joe, here I am to save the day. Wasn't that Mighty Mouse? Wow, see, I'm starting to feel better. I'm getting a little slapstick. First thing is this: there's no reason, if you're in a sound house, meaning the wind is not blowing through it, that you should freeze to death. Take all the blankets you have, throw them on your bed, you and your loved one, if you have kids or something, get into bed, make a puppy pile, and sleep. You'll be fine. You won't wake up dead. You won't freeze to death. You'll be warm. My wife and I, when we slept in that trailer, and it would get in that trailer into the single digits easily at night, we would wear sweat pants, sweat tops. I'd wear a short sleeve t-shirt, a long sleeve t-shirt, another short sleeve t-shirt, a hoodie, and a hat. And my wife would wear all that plus gloves. And then we'd sleep under about this many, blankets in our bed, and we were warm. We didn't die. You could do something similar. You could sleep in sleeping bags in your bed, right? Just get a sleeping bag for every member of your family and sleep in those. But then it makes it more difficult to get around during the day when your house is like an icebox, but not impossible. Just dress for the weather, right? Own clothes that you can wear when it's cold. Have long underwear, have layers, have hoodies and hats and gloves that you can do things in. Eskimos forever lived in igloos. Igloos are made out of ice. They kept the inside of the igloo right at 32 degrees. If they kept it warmer than that, the igloo would melt. So they were living in something colder than your refrigerator, right? And they raised babies and made babies and everything else in there, and they did fine. You can too. So just dress warm. Have warm clothes to wear. Don't worry, it's not a fashion show. Wear layers. That means if you're going to wear long underwear and maybe a pair of sweatpants under your jeans, you're not wearing the skinny jeans, right? You're going to have some bulky jeans. Something that I really like is the Carhartt zip-up coveralls. I call it a body coat. Those are awesome. But how else can you warm your place? Well, wood stoves are great. We've had wood stoves the last couple places we've lived. It's a necessity here at Shofar Mountain since we're off grid. And if you can install a wood stove and get yourself a supply of wood, good for you. You should do that. I recommend it. There's lots of reasons that many people cannot do that. Have extra propane on hand. Top off your propane before the winter comes, so that at least that buys you through, till the next year, if you can. And then I'm going to bend down out of the camera here. One thing that we have used, and we still use, are these. I call them little buddies. It's called a buddy heater. Buddy portable heater. And it runs off of propane, these canisters. So you, like us, could have a whole bunch of these canisters in your storage and have a couple of these. And we use them just to heat up a space for a short period of time. You could stick it, under your desk while you're sitting at the desk, and the heat would come up on you. Because we don't have the wood cook stove installed yet, last winter my wife would use it when she was in the kitchen cooking, just to keep that part of the house. We didn't need to heat it the whole time, so just when she went in there we'd use that. We use it at bath time. We take one in the bathroom and use it. It'll heat a small space. And you can use the 20-pound propane bottles with those too, buddy heaters. And they come in a couple different sizes. I like them. They work pretty good. You could take a part of your house. Let's say you live in Minnesota or Fargo or something, and you run out of heating oil or electricity or however you heat your house. You could take a part of your house and make it smaller, right? Like an interior room, and then you could partition it off with blankets or something, and then you could run a little buddy heater in that smaller space. You would need to use less fuel to keep a space heated. Now, yes, you have to be careful of carbon monoxide buildup, and you have to be careful of, getting enough oxygen, and don't catch the blankets on fire, be careful, all those things. But you could have a little warm space, where you could have life going on. But the bottom line is, in North America, especially in the lower 48, you're not going to freeze to death if you just take basic precautions and you have a shelter. It's quite possible to freeze to death in Atlanta, in the wintertime. You can get hypothermia and die. But the reality is, if you just take some basic precautions, you'll be okay. So yeah, winter is coming. It could be a hard winter. Could be a normal winter. But you should probably start thinking now about what you're going to do when your source of heating supply isn't coming anymore. What you going to do then? The time to think about that is now while it's still warm. Okay, I'll see y'all out there.